Good evening, and welcome to my little observatory. My name is Nitsuki Subaru, and tonight I'll be taking a little walk through the night sky of February. February nights can be cold, but the winter sky rewards us with some of the clearest and brightest stars of the entire year. Wherever you are watching from, I invite you to bundle up warmly, take a slow breather, have a lie down, look up, and let's explore the sky together. Here we are looking southward at the night sky of Tokyo. Let's start by looking at one of the most easily recognizable constellations in the winter sky, Orion. You can easily recognize Orion's belt by the three stars in a straight line. Above his belt, we see Betelgeuse. Betelgeuse is a red supergiant, a massive star nearing the end of its life. It's so large that if we replaced our sun with Betelgeuse, its surface would extend past the orbit of Mars. Because it's in a late stage of stellar evolution, Betelgeuse is unstable and varies slightly in brightness. Astronomers are watching it quietly, waiting for it to eventually explode as a supernova. Not tonight, probably. Diagonally opposite is a brilliant blue-white star Rigel. Rigel is younger, hotter, and extremely luminous. In fact, it shines tens of thousands of times brighter than our sun. It just happens to be much further away, which keeps it from being unbearably dramatic about it. So within this one constellation, we see both stellar young and stellar old stars, a quiet reminder that even stars go through life stages. Orion, it seems, carries both retirement and early career energy at the same time. Facing Orion is Taurus the Bull. Look for a V-shaped group of stars. This is the Hyades star cluster, forming the face of the bull. It's one of the nearest open clusters to Earth, practically our stellar neighbor. In cosmic terms, they live just down the street. Now, you'll probably notice one star in that V shape shining brighter than the others. That is Aldebaran, the bull's fiery eye. Aldebaran appears to be part of the Hyades, but it's actually much closer to us and not physically part of the cluster at all. It simply lies along the same line of sight. Above it, sitting on the back of Taurus is a tiny sparkling cluster known as the Pleiades. In Japan, this cluster is known as Subaru, meaning to gather together. Once you see it, the name kind of makes sense. A small gathering of stars huddled closely in the winter sky. Here in Japan, Subaru was famously admired over 1,000 years ago during the Heian period by the Japanese writer Seisho Nagon in Makura no Soushi. She lived in a world without telescopes, without modern astronomy, and yet she looked up and found the same quiet beauty we see tonight. The light from the Pleiades has traveled hundreds of years to reach us, but the human feeling of wonder, that seems to arrive instantly. Just behind Orion, we find his faithful companions. First, Canis Major, the greater dog, home to Sirius, the brightest star in the night sky. Sirius appears so bright because it lies only about 8.6 light years away. In cosmic terms, that's practically on our doorstep. If stars had doorbells, you could almost hear Sirius ringing away. Trailing nearby is Canis Minor, the lesser dog, containing Procyon. The name Procyon comes from the Greek for before the dog. Together, these two faithful companions follow Orion across the winter sky, a hunter and his dogs eternally in pursuit. If we connect Betelgeuse, Sirius, and Procyon, we form the famous winter triangle. It's not an official constellation. No paperwork was officially filed. It's what's known as an asterism, but is one of the most useful and recognizable patterns in the winter sky. This large triangle dominates the winter sky and serves as an excellent guide for star hopping. Let's now try using the winter triangle as a pointer. If we take the point roughly midpoint between Procyon and Betelgeuse and then travel downwards through Sirius, then very low in the southern sky you might spot another bright star. This is Canopus in the constellation Carina, the keel of a great celestial ship. Canopus is the second brightest star in the night sky after Sirius. However, from most of Japan, it sits very low above the southern horizon. Because of that, spotting Canopus can feel a bit like discovering a hidden gem. Heading back up, high overhead, you may notice an object that outshines almost everything else. This is Jupiter. Unlike the surrounding stars, Jupiter doesn't twinkle very much. It shines with a calm, steady glow, almost as if it knows it's the largest planet in our solar system and doesn't need to prove anything. With a telescope or a good pair of binoculars, you may be able to see Jupiter's 4 Galilean moons, Io, Europa, Ganymede, and Callisto. These moons were first observed by Galileo Galilei in 1610. Nearby Jupiter, we find the constellation of Gemini, the twins. The two bright stars marking the heads are Castor and Pollux. They appear similar at first glance, but Castor is a little bit more complex than it appears. Through a good telescope, Castor splits into 2 stars. But with more detailed study, astronomers have discovered that Castor isn't really just a pair. It's actually a system of 6 stars orbiting one another. So one of the twins turns out to be 6? Now, let's turn from the constellations to some of the celestial events happening this month. On February 2nd, we have the new moon. Then, February 4th marks Rishun, the start of spring in the traditional Japanese Koyomi calendar. Rishun is one of the 24 points of the Niju Shiseki, or the 24 seasonal markers. These points are determined by the sun's position along the ecliptic. Even though the air is still cold, the calendar tells us that spring has begun. February 17th, we have the new moon. This is the best time to go out and do some stargazing. We also have an annular solar eclipse where the moon passes directly in front of the sun, leaving a thin ring of sunlight visible around its edge, sometimes called a ring of fire. Unfortunately, this particular eclipse will not be visible from Japan. Now, between February 16th and 23rd, about 30 minutes after sunset, Mercury will appear above the western horizon. Mercury is the closest planet to the Sun, and because of that, it never strays very far from it in our sky. It's often hidden in the sun's glare, making it one of the more elusive planets to observe. You'll have about 1 hour to see it before it sets. On February 20th, Mercury will reach its greatest eastern elongation. This is when it appears at its greatest apparent distance from the sun in the evening sky, making it the best night this month for evening visibility. Nearby, you may also see Saturn, the planet famous for its beautiful rings. Even a small telescope can reveal those rings, a sight that never quite loses its ability to impress. Between February 19 and 20, the moon will be in conjunction with Mercury and Saturn. A thin crescent moon will pass close to Mercury and Saturn in the western sky. Look west shortly after sunset to see this. Later in the month, between February 26 and 28, the moon will be in conjunction with Jupiter. The next Jupiter-Moon conjunction will occur in March, so the sky will give us a regular chance to view this quiet celestial meeting. And so, as we finish our small tour of February's sky, I hope you'll take a few moments whenever you can to step outside and look up. The winter sky is cold but brilliant. People 1,000 years ago looked up at these same stars, watched the same moon, and felt the same quiet sense of wonder. Tonight, we stand beneath them as well. As February moves forward, these constellations will slowly drift westward each evening, making way for the start of spring. Thank you for spending this time with me. Rest easy, and I wish you all clear skies and calm nights.